Sarah of Nearest Worlds, and in this video I'm going to talk about my advice for undergrads, specifically those who want to study history. My own personal background, I have a bachelor's in English and medieval and Renaissance studies, so that's where I'm coming from. First, if you are interested in medieval studies specifically, do know that medieval studies are not particularly hip right now. Early modern is a much more popular history subdivision. This is just important to know in terms of it can impact the kinds of courses you can take, the programs you can study in, future job opportunities. But if you love medieval history and you're just studying it for fun or because you need some kind of bachelor's degree, go for it. Medieval studies or history are good foundations for teaching, for law, although opportunities in law are becoming more scarce. And there are even more and more pre-med students who are taking history and English as their undergrad degrees. If you are going to take history as a major, or medieval history, or even other humanities, such as English, literature, a language, things like that, do consider your long-term goals. Many students who study in these fields, and I was one of them, have this idea of joining academia and becoming a professor. But you should know that currently about 75% of academics are adjuncts. I didn't know what an adjunct was when I was an undergrad. That was meaningless. An adjunct is a part-time professor. Adjuncts are paid much, much less than those with tenure or who are full-time, and usually have few or no health benefits. I'm currently an adjunct myself. I enjoy teaching very, very much, but I work part-time and for very little pay, and I don't have any benefits. So if your long-term goal is to go into academia, really think about that. But I'll have a different video for advice for grad school. As someone who is an educator, I definitely feel bad discouraging anyone from education, so please don't think I'm doing that. Education is worthwhile, studying history is worthwhile, but you do have to think about your future. If you can, I suggest pairing a history degree with another degree, some kind of double major or minor. Now, unfortunately, I paired mine with English, so it kind of had two strikes against me. And I'm not saying you need to go get a degree in business, because we have enough business graduates as well. But again, as you're thinking about long-term goals, think about the kind of skills you have. History will give you skills on how to write, how to research, how to reason, how to construct an argument, how to read a text, which are all really valuable skills. But it's also helpful to maybe take a technical writing course, to take an accounting course, take some computer classes, graphic design, computer science, something like that that will set you apart from other humanities grads. So again, I'm not saying you need a double major in computer science and history. Just think about how well-rounded your education is and how well-rounded it could be. Now, if you are interested in medieval studies specifically, I cannot emphasize this point enough. Take Latin. That is my number one biggest regret, not taking Latin. And the thing is my advisor told me over and over again, take Latin, and I thought I knew better, so I didn't. But the fact is I don't know Latin, and so now I'm shut out of a lot of resources that would otherwise be available to me. So take Latin. Take Latin. Medieval history? Take Latin. You might also consider taking another European language, especially one related to whatever time or place you're interested in. So taking French, Spanish, German, those are all really helpful courses that will benefit you and give you a wider pool of resources. I know German, and that's helpful. There's a lot of medieval research in German. I'm also interested in India, so I've been studying Hindi. I took some Sanskrit. So it just opens up new opportunities to you and more people you can talk to and more resources. So really think about those languages. And hey, if you're bilingual, that's also more job opportunities. Also, write papers and attend conferences. Even as an undergrad, you can do these things. My school had undergrad conferences every year, multiple ones, so that's one opportunity you can use. And there are publications specifically for undergrads, so doing this will give you a leg up if you are going to apply to grad school. And it is more experience you can put on a resume, especially depending on what you want to go into. There is a really helpful website based at Penn State, the Penn State Call for Papers, that lists opportunities for grads and undergrads. So take a look at that. That's also something I wish I had started doing sooner. And also just going to conferences uh, is a good way to connect, to find out who the big people in the field are, what people are studying. And it can be expensive, which is one reason I haven't gone to a lot of conferences, but you never know what programs might be available through your school. So it's definitely worth checking out those kinds of resources if you have some kind of academic skills skills center or help center. They can probably tell you, or you could go see your academic advisor, or even the department head in the history department or similar. So take a look at that, get involved with that. Uh, Speaking of those advisors and professors, make friends with your professors. I'm not saying every single one, but they should know who you are, even in a big lecture class. So go to office hours. Really, really, really go. I used to knock on the door and I'd feel embarrassed, but as a now as a professor, as office hours, and nobody comes to see me, you're just sitting there, and your whole point is waiting for students to come in. So go to office hours. Go with questions if you have them. That's the best. But you can just say, "Hey, I read this article. I did that once." I went to see my Shakespeare professor because I'd read an article about Macbeth, and I just wanted to talk about it and get his opinion. And if professors know who you are, they're more willing to help you out, both in terms of class, if you have trouble in a class, but also in terms of opportunities, both educational and career wise. One summer I needed a job. I wrote to a professor of mine who was also the head of the department at the time. I said, "Hey, do you have any job opportunities?" I hadn't had his class in, I don't know, a year, I think. But he remembered who I was, and he was more than happy to pass along a couple of job opportunities. And, I got a summer job. That's called networking. So, definitely make sure your professors know who you are and in a positive way. And there's nothing wrong with asking questions. There's nothing wrong with stopping in during office hours, sending a polite, well-written email, calling. I have one of those phone phobias, so I never make phone calls, but that's another opportunity, especially if you maybe have older professors who are less technologically inclined. Some will only answer their phone. I spent too much time talking about this. Something else to think about, I've already mentioned taking classes that will benefit you career-wise, taking a technical writing course or an accounting course, but also take a variety of classes within your major. So my focus was medieval lit, but actually the classes I remember best are early Renaissance art and ancient literature. So all those medieval classes started to blend together. I was kind of scared to go outside of, you know, my literature purview, and I don't know why. I guess I wanted a class that I knew I would know something going into it. But like I said, the classes I remember 10 years later are, wow, 10 years, yeah, 10 years later are ones that were outside of my specialty, you know? So don't be scared of those classes. Take those other classes, ask your advisors what they suggest, ask your favorite professors what they suggest, um, and you'll get to learn something really cool that will supplement your education in a way you might not have thought. Finally, my last piece of advice, this is also kind of job related, is to intern if you can. So, a problem with being in college is it's expensive, right? We get scholarships if we're lucky, but we also get loans. Some of us, our parents can pay for it, but many of us can't. So many of us also have to work. I worked through college as well as scholarships and loans. So, I often worked full time, so I know that feeling. And so the suggestion to intern is almost a slap in the face because interning usually means you're working for no pay. And those are hours you could spend working for pay or studying or something. But if you do have the opportunity to intern, do it. It's a good way to network, it's a good way to get experience, it's a good way to see what job opportunities are available to you. And interning can be months long, but it can also be, for a week at a festival, at the Writers' Festival or something like that. Uh, of my friends, the ones who have the best jobs, so in terms of, say, full-time work with well-paying and benefits, they're the ones who interned first and then got job opportunities, job offers from the places where they interned. Likewise, volunteer work. If you are interested in medieval studies, you want to work in a museum. Budgets are being cut all over the place, so at least if you volunteer at a museum, that's that's something that will make you look more attractive as a candidate when it comes time to apply for a job. I hate that so much of my advice revolves around getting a job because there's much more to life than just working. But the reality is, we live in a capitalist system. We have to make money so that we can survive. uh, I certainly am a Marxist at times in my viewpoints, but what I want in reality is different. So I'm giving you advice that I wish people had told me. And don't get bummed out by all the job advice because the fact is most people change not only their jobs multiple times, but their careers multiple times. But that said, if you can give yourself the best possible foundation as an undergrad, you'll have so many more opportunities when you're like me and in your 30s and, wishing maybe you had done some things differently. um, to end with, I loved school. I loved it. That's why I teach now. Undergrad was so wonderful as a place to explore. In many ways, I liked it more than grad school because with grad school, you are focusing on one topic, and many people like that. But I actually really liked getting to explore everything. So I enjoyed the different courses I got to take within my major, and the others that were just requirements for the college. So, enjoy your time, pick interesting classes, make friends both with your peers and with your professors, and just have fun. Do your best.